100 Days in Hardcore Minecraft. What may sound easy, and you may have seen a bunch of other YouTubers do it many times, maybe even seen them go to 1,000 days or even 4,000 days in Hardcore Minecraft, I can assure you that this is no easy challenge. With over 33 hours of actual gameplay in the game, and a bunch more hours in editing, this was not an easy challenge. I had many close calls throughout these days, but throughout I was actually able to get pretty much all of my goals, and pretty much was able to have a really fun time in my world. I was able to make some really cool builds, which I hope that you will be able to get to see throughout this video, and I thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. It means a whole lot to me. So if you go on enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my 100 days of hardcore Minecraft. So I started off my day by making a new hardcore world. This was actually ended up being like my 5th or 6th attempt, so it had been a while. Now according to Minecraft, it is actually day 0, so we're going to start off the Minecraft on day 0. So the first thing we did was we started by setting our spawn so we didn't forget it, and went into mining some trees. We were going to be doing a lot of tree mining in this episode series, but that is pretty much what we started to do to start trying to get some wood tools out of it, and then we went into the mines to get some stone as well. So I crafted a pickaxe and then used that pickaxe to get stone, and then made the stone tools, which is pretty much what you need to start off a new world. So I then started to get some more coal, because this would be necessary for just doing all the things I was going to need to be doing at the very beginning stages. And in this cave that I found the coal, I ended up finding my first mob, and I easily took it on, and I ended up getting the Monster Hunter achievement. I then started mining some more iron, getting as much as possible, and it was super nice. This cave was actually pretty generous in the amount of iron that was inside of it. And so yeah, that's kind of what we did. And then as I was in the cave, I found another skeleton, which actually was super scary because it got me down to 2 hearts and I didn't have any food to regen. So I went up to the top to get some more food from the cows, because this would allow me to get my health back so I didn't die. And through the night, I started crafting some armor and some iron tools. This was going to be super nice at the beginning stages, and I actually almost died a couple times on day 0, getting down to 1 heart and 2 hearts pretty regularly. I then spent the rest of day 0 exploring a little bit, and I ended up finding a village on the end of day 0. So by the end of day 0, I ended up having full iron armor and a few iron tools, which was super nice. So on day 1, I started by looting the village, taking all the hay bales for food, and started looting the chest and stuff, and by the end of the day, I pretty much had all enough food for the rest of this series, with a little under 4 stacks of bread. I then started by mining a bunch of trees because I needed some wood to start building my house. I wanted to make a house that wasn't going to be super terrible. I wanted to make it pretty much last a while and look pretty nice. I don't really want to make any dirt houses in this series, so I started off by laying the floor plan out of birch. I wanted to go with a dark and light theme for this build because I thought it might look pretty nice. And on the end of day 1, I started by adding some areas for the first layer, and some doors and some spots for some windows, which I was going to add later on. And I decided to add these little roof things. I thought it might look pretty cool, but I actually ended up running out of wood. So on day 2, I started off by mining some more wood for my house because, you know, we need some more of that. And so I finished by putting the stairs on the roof, and I think it looks pretty cool. I then added some columns on it and started adding a roof to the first floor. I wanted to make this 2 stories so that it didn't feel too small, and so on day 2, I started by making the second story, and I also added a little balcony because I thought it might look pretty nice. I then also made some more spots for some windows, and this is what the house looks like on the end of day 2. So I think it looks pretty cool. On day 3, I started off by adding a roof to the building. I used birch because I wanted to continue that light and dark theme, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And that's what the little outline of the roof looks like for now. But next I wanted to add some windows because this house wasn't going to be complete without it. So I went on a scavenger to try to find some sand because I thought it might make the house just look that much nicer. And I also grabbed some wood as well because that was just going to be necessary for the rest of this build. I then also put in the wood glass panes because it was a little more resource friendly, and started by taking the new wood that I had gotten and build some columns on the roof. I thought it might look pretty cool having 3 different types of wood in the house, and so yeah. And then on day 4, I started off by finishing the roof on the house and added some more windows and finished off the windows of the second floor. And this is what the house looks like on the end of day 4. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Now the next thing I wanted to start building was a little area to do my mining. I just kind of took a bunch of the leftover materials I had from my house and kind of skimmied it around the area, trying to make it look kind of abstract but not at the same time. And yeah, that's kind of what I did in day 4, did some terraforming the land to try to make it look kind of get blended in, and then I got inside and started mining to start my mine to all the way down to Y level 11 so I could start getting some of those nice diamonds. At the beginning of day 5, I started off by finishing the inside of my mine. I took a bunch of blocks I had gathered from stone and whatnot and decided to just kind of randomly spread them around the area because I thought it might look cool for an entrance into my mine. I took some gravel and some diorite and some of the little stone things you find in the mines, and that's kind of what I did, just place it around, and this is what it ended up looking like on the outside. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and then on the inside this is what it looks like, and I just added some torches to try to prevent some mobs. I then took the stone that I had got and finished the roof, placing the last little bit of stone. I really like the look of stone stairs for a roof in a house, and yeah, I then also spent the night on day 5 mining, but sadly didn't really find much of anything except for iron and coal. On day 6, I started off the day by terraforming some land for my next project. In order to feed myself throughout these series, I wanted to make sure I had a sustainable farm which would allow me to get as much food as possible. So I started off by clearing a small area of land and doing a little bit of terraforming to make it big enough for my farm, because I didn't want to have a little small farm, but I wasn't going to make it huge either. So I started off by laying out a little layout for my farm. As you can see, just kind of placing it. If you didn't know, you can actually do a 9x9 radius with one single source block of water, which is pretty cool. So that's what I basically used for my farm here. So that's kind of what I did at the beginning of the day, and then I started off by going into the mines, and I actually ended up finding some coal and some iron in the nearby cave, and yeah, that's what I did on day 6. On day 7, on the end of the week, I started off by planting my first seeds. I got some potatoes and some seeds in there for some wheat, and then I also did a little design which is pretty easy to do, but it actually maximizes your capacity for the amount of sugarcane that you can use, and I started a little sugarcane farm for my farm. This was going to be super useful for the future, as it would allow me to get maximum enchants for my gear that I get from mining. So I then also used some bone meal that I had gotten to make the farm a little bit bigger, and then took the rest of the dirt that I had gotten to try to terraform the land a little bit more, because I didn't want to see all those big wide gaping holes, which I actually ended up missing some of them, which you'll see later. Then I went and spent the rest of the time in the mine. I ended up finding a good amount of different stuff this time. Found some lapis and some redstone and some iron, which was pretty nice because I hadn't had any of that yet. And so yeah, that's what I did on the end of the first week of my Minecraft Hardcore series. So now let's go on into day 8. On day 8, I started off the day by finishing my farm. I started working on my sugarcane farm, trying to finish it up, trying to get the layout all correct, which actually took quite a while, but in the end I was able to get it all right and just had a couple spots missing from the sugarcane and the water. I then started working on a border for my area because I thought I would make it look cool while I was at it, so I just took a bunch of random items I had and started making it look as nice as possible. I also had some wall pieces, so I added that and some doors so that I could keep mobs out of my farm, which would make it last ultimately longer. So yeah, that's kind of what I did on day 8, just worked on my farm. And then on the end of day 8, I started spawning phantoms, so I got some sheep and got to bed for the first time and got some sleep. On day 9, I started by finishing the farm, putting on some more decorations and doing some more terraforming on the land just to make it look a little bit nicer. I didn't want to have any extra holes laying out of area, so I tried to make sure to get all of it. I then used my shovel to make these pathways, which I think looks pretty cool inside of the area. I then took some more stone brick walls and put it in to keep unwanted visitors out. I figured 2 blocks high would be nice, and it makes it just look a little bit more safer, and then I added some torches. I then went into the mine and actually got the hot stuff achievement with a bucket of lava, and I actually ended up taking it back up with me and used it as a fuel source for my furnace. This was going to be super nice, and on the end of day 9 I actually ended up getting 3 diamonds, which was super nice, so I could get a diamond pickaxe. On day 10, I started off the day by mining some more trees. I figured I might need a little bit more wood for my next building project, so that's kind of what I did. I did a little bit of mining of the dark oak and went and tried to find some trees that were closer into the forest, and then I finished the day off by mining some more grass, trying to terraform the land for my next project I was going to build. I needed a big flat area, and then at the end of the day I decided to make a new diamond pickaxe and went into the mine to get some obsidian so that I could make an enchantment table and another portal. On day 11 through 13, I pretty much spent a lot of the time terraforming. Pretty much on days 11 through 13, I was just placing and breaking a bunch of dirt and grass, and then finally on day 13, I started by placing some fence gates to start making my farm. I wanted to make an animal farm so I could get a good amount of food, and I could start getting leather for some bookshelves for enchanting and stuff, and it's always nice just to have a little animal farm, so that's pretty much what I did on the days of 11 through 13. On day 14, at the end of the week, I started off the day by getting some animals for my new farm. I got 4 sheep and bred them and ended up getting the parrots and the bees enchantment, which was pretty nice. I then went to go get some chickens because those would be pretty useful for getting eggs and stuff like that, and I could also use them for feathers. And then I got a bunch of cows, which would be super useful so I could get that leather for the good old enchantment table. I also bred them as well just to try to get as many as possible, and I went back into my farm getting some wheat and some seeds for some more breeding as well, and then I also got some potatoes for food and some sugar cane for enchanting. On day 15, I started off the day by mining some clay because I could use it for a future build, and pretty much that's what I did in the morning. I then pretty much spent the rest of the day mining trees and trading with villagers, and yeah, that's what I did on day 15. On days 16 and 17, I started off by making a little area to put my villagers. This would make it easy to trade with them since they wouldn't be able to escape, and it would just allow me to make sure they would never leave so I could trade with them. I then went to my farm to get some wheat, potatoes, and some sugarcane so that I could use it to trade with my farm, make some more babies with my animals, and get some more food. I then took the seeds that I had gotten from my farm and used them to breed the chickens, and I tried to see if I could get the chicken to grow a little faster, but it didn't really work. I then used the wheat as well to make some more cows and some more sheep, and then I spent the rest of the day mining some wood just to try to get it so I could trade with the villagers, and as I was mining I actually found some more diamonds, but I only got 2 of them so I could get some more enchantments. On days 18 and 19 I pretty much did the same thing both days. I started off the day by mining some trees to get as many sticks as possible so I could trade with the villagers and try to get as many cool things as possible. I also did a lot of farming, getting some wheat, some potatoes, and some sugarcane, and then used that to trade with my animals to try to get them to breed more, and then I also enchanted my diamond pickaxe, getting silk touch, efficiency 4, and a breaking 3, which is pretty cool. I then went into the mines and used it to test out that silk touch. On day 20, I once again started off the day by mining a bunch of more trees to try to get as many sticks as possible so I could use them to trade with villagers. I then went to my villagers to get some more emeralds, and I took a lectern to try to get a mending trade with the villager, and on my pretty much like 5th or 6th try, I actually ended up getting that mending trade on my librarian, which was pretty nice so I could use it to put on my tools so they would never break. Pretty much the only thing important that happened on days 21 and 22 is that the first thing I did was buy a mending book. I then spent a bunch of times in the mine to try to get level 30. I then used that level 30 to get a fortune 3 and breaking 3 pickaxe. I added a mending enchantment to my silk touch pickaxe. I then mined up all the diamond ores that I had gotten, getting a total of 28 diamonds, and used those diamonds to get full diamond armor. On day 23, I pretty much just spent the day in the mines trying to get some more diamonds so that I could get full diamond tools and just get some more enchantments on my items because I thought it might be useful in the future. On day 24, I started off the day on a new project. I took my shovel that I had recently upgraded to efficiency 4 and took it to do some more terraforming, which was pretty nice now that it was so much faster. I pretty much just did a bunch of terraforming using all the dirt that I had gotten throughout day 24. I then started working on my next build, building a roof and some walls. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite build, but it works for what I'm gonna be using it for, and this house was actually in my way, so I pretty much took it down. On day 25, I started off by working on the building again, trying to finish it as much as possible. I started by making the sides of the house, trying to make it look pretty nice, and then I started working on a second layer for it. I didn't want to make it a super tall building, so I decided to go with a little in the middle kind of walls, which would help make it not look super large, but at the same time add as much space as I need. I then started working on the interior, as you can see right now, but sadly it did end up changing pretty much a lot, and this is not going to be the final version of the inside, but this is what I pretty much did on day 25. Pretty much the only relevant thing that I did on day 26 was finish the roof on the house, just to make it look a little bit nicer. On day 27, I started to work on the interior. I wanted to make a place that looked nice but was also very productive in my managing with the villagers. I started by adding a second layer which would help with space so that I could make more villagers fit in the area, and then I also decided to demolish the underside of it because I didn't like how it looked, and yeah, that's pretty much what I did on day 27. On day 28, I finished working on the interior of the house, adding the second layer and adding some beds for the villagers so they could sleep at night, pretty much tearing down and putting in the rest of the area and trying to make it look as nice as possible. And yeah, that's kind of what I did for day 28, was just work on the interior of the house. On day 29, I also started to add some windows into my house. I figured it might look pretty cool just to add some windows, and it might open up the area a little bit, just making it look that much nicer. So I finished adding some windows, doing some little building shade inside the building, just to make it look a little. On day 30, I finished working on the villager area, making the outside look a little bit nicer by adding some brushes, as well as terraforming the land just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then this villager hut was in the way, it was connecting to my house, so I decided to take it down, taking that white terracotta from it. You may think it's pink, but it's actually white terracotta, and yeah, that's pretty much what I did on day 30. On day 31, I started off by getting some food from some more mobs, because I needed some food because I was about to run out of food. I then on the way ended up finding a bunch of dogs, and I got my bones so that I could breed them. I ended up getting around 3 dogs that day, which was pretty cool, and I took the meat that I had gotten to breed them. I then spent the rest of the night on day 31 in the mines getting some diamonds, and ended up getting 15 or so diamond ores, and out of that ended up getting around 48 things of diamonds, which was pretty cool. Then on day 32 through 33, on day 32, I started off by fighting some pillagers, but my dogs pretty much handled them for me, and because I had that bad omen effect, I did not want to start a raid, so I got a milk bucket to get rid of it. I then took my 30 levels and got a Smite 4 diamond sword, which I wasn't pretty happy with, so I grindstoned it. I then started working on a new project which was going to take a lot of stone, but it was going to be pretty necessary. It was going to be a staircase to go super high in the world, so that I could eventually make a mob farm up here, which would hopefully help getting more XP. So yeah, that's kind of what I did on the end of day 33. On day 34, I pretty much spent the entire time trying to get a villager to trade for mending, but sadly I never got one. I then spent the rest of the night in the mines trying to get some more diamonds, but sadly I didn't find any, and yeah, that's pretty much what I did on day 34. It was a pretty chill day. On day 35, I took that stone that I had gotten from mining and started using it on the project as well, and then I spent some time also doing some tree mining, and then I also spent some more time in the mines to try to get some more stone. Then on day 36 through 38, I started day 36 by adding some stairs to my mine because it was going to be really annoying to not have any, and that's pretty much what I did on the beginning of day 36. And then on day 37, I started off by making my new project. I needed a lot of stone for my project, so I figured I was going to make a quarry so I could get a ton of extra stone. So I decided to make it also a cool build, so I wanted to make it a giant circle. So I started off by taking some grass and making a big giant circle in this area because I wanted it to look super cool, and this is what it looked like on the end of day 38. As you can see, that outside ring is how big the circle is, and eventually I'm going to make it a kind of like divot, as if like a comet hit the earth, and it'll make more sense later. But yeah, that's what I did on day 38. Then on day 39, I decided I wanted to go to the nether to get some more XP, so I got my gold boots, made my portal, and then I decided to go into the nether for the first time in this world. It was super scary because I knew if I messed up at all, I would die, and I eventually got in, which was pretty awesome, and decided to get some quartz because that was what I really needed. Quartz is really high in XP, which is super nice. I then decided to go back to the overworld, and for some reason it spawned me super far away from where my other portal was, but I then went back into there and shot a gas because it was trying to fire at me, and somehow got returned to the cinder, which was pretty cool because you can pretty much only get that if you knock the fireball back at the last. I then enchanted my diamond sword and got sharpness 3 and breaking 3, and then went back into the nether to get some coal. On day 40, I started off the day by mining my quarry. I wanted to get down to that stone layer as fast as possible so I had easy access to stone. I started by using my shovel, which was super nice because it was efficient now, so it was super easy to mine, but I actually almost ended up breaking it, but luckily I didn't. I then went to my villagers and ended up buying 3 mending books, which was super nice so I could put it on my pickaxes and maybe even some of my armor. But then I went into the nether to try to mend my shovel because I was about to die. Then on day 41, I started the day by working on my farm, just trying to get some more wheat and some more carrots and whatnot because I wanted to get some more food and try to breed my villagers. And then I went over to my animals as well and tried to give them some of the potatoes and stuff because, you know, they could always use some love. And yeah, day 41 was pretty much a kind of chill day, just kind of messed around with the farm and villagers. And yeah, that's kind of what. On day 42, I spent the day working on my mob farm using the stone that I had gotten from the quarry the day before, and then I went back to the quarry just to get some more mining done because I needed some more stone for the next day. Then on day 43, once again, I spent the rest of the day mining in the quarry, just trying to get as much of stone as possible, and I actually ended up making it to the stone layer, which was pretty nice. I then took that stone and started working on top as well, starting on the mob farm area and trying to make a big half circle platform. It didn't look too bad, but I also could do better, which eventually I do get better at making circles, but yeah, that's what happened. Then on day 44 as well, I also worked on it, just trying to get this done as fast as possible because day 50 was super near, and I also started building the tower, and as you can see, I'm just kind of placing all the blocks and working on the mob farm. A mob farm takes a lot of stone, but because I had the Silk Touch pickaxe, I could easily make it out of stone bricks, which I think looks much nicer. Then on day 45, I pretty much did the same thing, working on the quarry and then going to the mob farm, placing a bunch of blocks and then going back to the quarry to get more of them because I always was running out of it. I then started building up the blocks on day 46 and put a roof on it as well, which was pretty nice because now I could finally start using it as a mob farm. I then also went to my chickens and stuff because I wanted to get at level 30, so I bred them and then killed them all because it gave me a bunch of XP, which was pretty nice. Then on day 47, I went into the nether to try to get some netherite. I wanted to get at least one piece of netherite throughout these 50 days. I ended up finding one piece of ancient debris on my first bed that I blew up, which was pretty cool. I also got a couple more veins, getting some here and there, and I actually ended up leaving the nether with a total of 6 ancient debris. And I actually found some when I was just randomly mining throughout, which was pretty cool. Then on day 49, it was actually a really big day. I started off the day by killing this enderman and then made a netherite ingot, which was pretty cool. I then went over to my villager and ended up making my Silk Touch pickaxe netherite, which was pretty awesome. I also got a protection 4 diamond chest plate, which was pretty cool, and then went into the quarry to get some stone because I was going to need more of that to finish the build, which was pretty cool, and I also just wanted to make this one single layer. I then went into the nether and set up a little area to do some trading with my gold because I had a ton of that from mining that for the ancient debris. So I set up a little auto assortment a little bit because it would automatically filter the items in, and then I decided to get a bunch of the piglin into the area so that I could start trading with them. I made this little spot so I could easily throw the gold at them, which worked pretty well, and I ended up getting a bunch of the cool enchantments like Who is Cutting Onions, which you can pretty much only get from trading. On day 50, we had finally made it halfway through our world, so I decided to go ahead and just take a look at all the things we had built in the first half of this series, and there was a lot more to come. I hopefully wanted to fix a bunch of things that I had done, and so yeah, let's go ahead and get started on day 51. On day 51, we started up by loading the world again, getting in back to our world, which we had not been in a while. So I started off by just looking at the world. I actually forgot to put on my texture pack, but I did end up fixing it later on. So I started off the world by just doing some of the basics. So I left my house at the beginning of day 51 and got back to tree chopping. I fixed my keybinds because they had gotten messed up, and I pretty much just spent a lot of the time chopping down a bunch of trees to get as much wood as possible so I could work on building. I then took my shovel and started working on some terraforming of some land because I would need this for my next project, which is going to be a tree farm. This tree farm would make it just so much easier for me to get wood, and it actually was a real game changer in this 50 days because it just made it super easy to get wood. So I added a couple layers, and on the end of day 51 I had 2 tree layers. Then on day 52 I did some more terraforming and added a 3rd layer of trees, which is going to be the oak trees, so I could have dark oak, birch, and oak trees in my little farm. I then decided to harvest some sugarcane and get as much as possible and turn that sugarcane into paper, and I also ended up making some jack-o'-lanterns as well because I thought they might look cool. I added them on my house, in my little mine area, and in the villager trading hall. And then on day 53, I took all those wood that I had gotten from the previous day and did some trading and ended up getting 2 mending books. And then I also decided to go look at my sheep and give them a little haircut. I then ended up going in the mines trying to do some blast mining. And look at this, I think this looks super cool. I slowed down the footage really fast, and I think it looks super cool just looking at it blowing up in the end. You're seeing the gravel blow up, and I actually ended up only finding one piece of netherite, which was right here. And yeah, I just thought that looked pretty cool, so I decided to include it in this video. And so yeah, that's what that looks like. So I mined the ancient debris, and then on day 54 I went back to tree mining. I came back into the overworld and did some more trading to try to get some more XP and some more emeralds because I was going to be needing them for the future. I then decided to go back in the mine on day 54 and get some more netherite, but I only found one piece. Then on day 55 I started working on my next project, which was going to be an iron farm. This would make it so I could get pretty much infinite iron, so I started by working on it, basically setting up the basic part of it, and yeah, that's what I did on day 56 through 57. So I pretty much just started by adding some beds and stuff, which is what you needed. I was going off of a tutorial that I found on YouTube. You can pretty much find them wherever you want, and there are tons of tutorials for iron farms. Then on day 58, I started by adding another villager into my iron farm. On day 57, I actually ended up putting a villager in there, and I spent pretty much the entire day on day 58 just trying to get this villager to go in. It was a real pain getting these villagers in. It took about 2 days to do it, but eventually I got them all in, which was pretty nice. I accidentally ended up hitting one of the villagers, but eventually I got all the villagers into my little iron farm. You only need 3 villagers for this iron farm, which is pretty cool. Then on day 59, I started off the day by going in my trading hall, and I was actually actually trying to do some trades, but they didn't want to trade with me that day, which was kind of sad. And yeah, that's kind of what I did on day 59. Just did a bunch of trades. I actually didn't have very much footage for this day. I accidentally forgot to record, and so that's all I have, is that just basically doing a bunch of trades on day 59. Then on day 60, I started off by enchanting my diamond axe, and I actually ended up getting breaking 3 and efficiency 4 on it, which I thought was pretty cool. And I actually ended up switching it with my other axe because it had breaking 3, which was definitely better. I also ended up getting the silk touch advancement, so next time I got 30 levels, I would be able to use that to get a silk touch axe, which is what I really wanted. I then went underground and started working on the underground part of my iron farm, which is where the iron golem would pretty much get killed. And so I started by adding the lava and whatnot, and then I finished that on day 60. I also ended up trying to get a zombie into my area, and I actually did end up getting one pretty fast, which I thought was actually pretty insane. So then I went back home on day 61 and renamed it. So I started by naming it 100 days, named it zombie, and I thought that I was actually done with this on day 58, but sadly the zombie somehow died when it was up there, which I thought was pretty sad. So when I came back on day 61, the zombie was gone, but I then decided to take my anger out on the crops and then started working on my circle. If you remember, in the last 50 days, I ended up making this little crater, which I thought was pretty cool, but it wasn't actually an actual circle. So I used a website that actually makes it a perfect circle for you in Minecraft, which was pretty cool. And yeah, that's what I did on day 61. On day 62, we started off by fixing the crater. So I took the new circle that I had and started by working on the edges because they were all messed up. So I pretty much just spent the entire morning on day 62 just trying to fix this edges to make it look as nice as possible, because I wanted it to be a perfect circle. And then in the night on day 62, I then went into doing some little sheep farming, trying to get as much wool as I possibly could. And then in the night started trying to get a zombie. This iron golem actually almost killed one of them, but I actually ended up getting a zombie in. And while I was trying to break the dirt, the iron golem actually pretty much killed the zombie, which was pretty sad. Then on day 63, I started off the day by doing a little trading and then made a new name tag for the zombie, did some more mining for the wool, and then I went into the mines to do some netherite mining and ended up finding 2 pieces of ancient debris, which was pretty nice. Then on day 64, I started off the day by crafting a netherite ingot and then got back to mining. I decided to add a whole nother layer because I wanted to make it just a little bit deeper. I was only going to add like 2 or 3 more layers, but I just thought it might make it look just that much better. So I pretty much spent the entire morning just trying my best to make another layer deeper, which would just make it look so much nicer. I then spent the rest of the night trying to get another zombie because they just keep dying over and over, and I did eventually get a zombie in. And then I went on day 65 to go make a netherite shovel because the zombie had died. I had to buy another name tag, but I then also got the zombie and renamed it 100 days and actually was able to get this one to stay in, which was pretty cool. I then went down underneath just to try to see and get all my things that collected from underneath, and then when I came back up, somehow the zombie had gotten out and died, which was super annoying because I really wanted to get this zombie in. Then on day 65 on the end, I was trying to do some more tree mining so I could get another name tag for the previous night. So I just traded some more sticks and made another name tag once again, and I punched this zombie in and finally got it named. I put some glass around it to see if it would keep it in there, but apparently the iron golem can't see it, so I then mined the zombie out and it finally worked, and the zombie did end up jumping out, but somehow it stayed in, and it will stay like this for the rest of the series. So on day 66, I decided to add another layer once again to my mine, and then decided to tower up with all the coal that I had gotten, and hey, I think it looks pretty cool. Now this build, I will tell you a little secret, does actually turn out looking really cool. So as you can see, I just built up and I think it looks pretty cool from above. That nice little circle looks pretty nice, and you can pretty much see all my buildings from up here. I then used my Fortune 3 pickaxe, mined all the coal, and yeah, that's what I did on day 66. On days 67 and 68, I started off the day by giving my sheep a haircut so I could get some more wool, and then I also bred my cows because I felt like they needed some love as well. I then went into the nether to do some netherite mining because I really wanted to get full netherite armor by the end of these days. So I started off by getting a pretty good, decent amount of ancient debris, getting some here and there, and I actually almost ended up dying to this lava, but I ended up being alright and ended up getting that piece of netherite, which was pretty nice. I then also continued blowing up some more beds and found a bunch of netherite, which was pretty nice because I needed a bunch of it. If you don't know, you need a total of 36 to get full armor and tools. And so yeah, I pretty much spent the entire day of 67, 68 in the nether. Right here I found a vein right next to another, which ended up giving me 3, and I'm pretty sure I ended up coming out of the nether with 10 ancient debris, which when combined with my other gave me 3 things of netherite ingots, which was pretty cool. I then spent the end of day 68 mining a bunch of trees so I could do some more stonk trading trading with my villagers, which is pretty nice. And yeah, that's kind of what I just did some mining trees, because I really just had a good trip in the nether, and I wanted to take a little break from doing anything scary. So yeah, that's what I did on day 67 through 68. Finally, I decided to upgrade my pickaxe to netherite, which was pretty nice. Then on day 69, I start off the day by using my last 2 ingots of netherite to get 2 netherite hoes, and I got that serious dedication achievement, which was pretty cool. I really did think that breaking a netherite hoe was an achievement, so I went and spent the entire day trying to break one of my netherite hoes, and pretty much that's what I did. I just really spent a lot of time breaking a bunch of leaves, and as you can see, my netherite hoe just going down super fast. As actually was over the course of 20 minutes of playtime, and then finally I was able to break the netherite hoe, but I was actually pretty sad that it wasn't an achievement, because now I had wasted a piece of netherite. I then on day 69 decided to watch the sunrise. On day 70, once again, I spent the entire day in the nether trying to get some more netherite. I really wanted to get this as fast as possible, because I also wanted to try to defeat the ender dragon before these 100 days, but I was very scared, so I wanted to make sure I had full netherite armor for the fight so I didn't die. I got low a couple of times blowing up these beds, but in the end it was a very productive day, getting a whole bunch of netherite. I think I ended up leaving with 12 pieces once again, which was pretty cool. So yeah, right there I'm just mining a bunch of more netherite, and pretty much almost died right here, which was extremely scary, but luckily I popped my fire res, which saved my life there, I'm pretty sure, because that would have ended my whole entire thing. And while I was mining, I totally didn't see this, but when I was mining, I missed a whole 5 vein of netherite, which is actually insane. It's a 3 vein next to a 2 vein, which is pretty lucky. And yeah, this ended up being the luckiest vein I've ever found in Minecraft so far, which was pretty insane. Then on day 71, I got out of the nether as fast as possible, because it's a very scary place, and I decided just to do some chill things that day. I really didn't want to do anything that would get my health too low, so I did some farming, did some sheep mining, and a creeper actually ended up blowing up my sheep farm. I also crafted some golden carrots, but while I was mining these sheep, a creeper blew it up and a bunch of them escaped, so I had to use the wool just to block it off so they couldn't escape. I then also was trying to do some terraforming, and I actually almost died to these zombies right here, getting really low, which was really scary. I used my golden carrots luckily to reheal, and then I used the grass blocks that I had gotten to fix some of the areas. Then on day 72, I went into the nether to find a fortress and got that terrible fortress achievement, which was pretty cool. I found a couple good chests, getting some nice stuff, and almost died pretty much like the entire time I was in here. It was extremely scary, almost dying to a skeleton, a wither skeleton. It was just a very scary time while I was in there, but luckily I ended with a total of 20 blaze rods, which was pretty nice. I used those to end up crafting some eyes of ender, as well as crafting a brewing stand, which would be pretty nice. So by the end of day 72, I had a brewing stand, which made it super easy, so I could start by getting some potions, because this would allow me to not die while I'm defeating the ender dragon in the nether. On day 73, I had to head back into the nether, because when I went in, I actually forgot to get nether warts, which are pretty essential for brewing. I actually ended up finding a couple more chests, getting some saddles, which was pretty nice, and finally it took me forever, like 15 minutes, which was like the entire day, to find some nether warts. I actually almost died once again a couple times, getting down really low, and so I got out of there as fast as possible. I then used the nether warts that I had gotten to brew some potions, getting some strength and slow falling potions. Then on day 74 through 78, this was a big amount of time. This took forever. I did a whole bunch of trading pretty much every single day, mined trees, made sticks, and then traded for emeralds, because I wanted to get full prot 4 thorns, blah all the different things. So by the end I was able to get a prot 4 thorns 3, silk touch, unbreaking 3, and mending villager, which was extremely nice, because now I could pretty much get OP armor whenever I wanted. It took the entire time, but then on days 79 through 83 I took all of those books that I had traded for and made the most OP diamond armor you've ever seen in your entire life, pretty much maxing out everything except for my boots. And I ended up going in the nether a bunch of times, just mining a bunch of quartz to try to get a bunch of levels, and then came back into the overworld to try to just put all my books on my armor and stuff. And yeah, that's kind of what I did on these 4 days. I just did a bunch of mining and eventually got the most OP stuff. As you can see, it took a very long time, but it was super worth it, because this would make it so that I pretty much can't die. And my diamond boots were the only thing that weren't maxed out, because they didn't have depth strider and it was only feather falling 3. But yeah, then on the end of day 83, I spent the entire day preparing for my battle for the ender dragon, getting all my stuff together, getting ready for the upcoming fight. On day 84, I pretty much started the day chopping down a bunch of trees. I wanted to try to get as prepared as possible, so I pretty much spent the entire day trading and ended up getting a bunch of ender pearls from this cleric that I had gotten in the village. I then started to organize all of my items in my inventory and got to trying to find the stronghold. I accidentally threw 3 eyes and only got 1 of them back, so I lost a bunch of my eyes. But then after a very long journey for the entire day, I finally found the stronghold on day 85. I then spent all of day 85 in the stronghold looking around, found some pretty nice books, getting efficiency 4, power 4, sharpness 3, all these kind of cool books that I found in this library, which was deep into the stronghold. It actually took me an extremely long time to find the stronghold, or the portal room as you would say, but I'm very sad that it only had 1 eye, but luckily I was able to find some ender pearls, so that way I was able to have enough and was able to get all of my eyes into the portal. So with that, on day 85 I jumped into the portal to get into the end. So after drinking some potions and getting prepared for my battle, I then jumped into the end portal, which would be the last thing that I might ever see. I then decided to tower up and do some cool montage of me defeating the ender dragon. Getting my last couple hits on the ender dragon, I had done it. I had defeated the ender dragon in hardcore Minecraft for the first time ever. I was super excited that I had done this challenge, and I accidentally jumped into the portal by accident because the endermen were chasing me. So on day 86 I then went back into the end and decided to grab all the XP, getting me all the way up to level 66, which was pretty nice. So I then immediately went to go get the egg, and then after taking the egg, went into the end cities and tried to go find an elytra, because that was one thing I wanted to get in these 100 days. It would just make it so much nicer to have and would just make it absolute fun to play this world. And so yeah, after getting that egg, I went into getting some endermen because I needed some more pearls, and then I finally, after an entire day on day 87, found the end city that would end up having the elytra. So I towered over, took out a bunch of the shulkers, and then I went up into the end city to try to find as much loot as possible. After successfully looting the end city, I slowly floated down into the area where the elytra was being held. I quickly grabbed the brewing stand, which was sitting right here, and took out the shulker, which was guarding the elytra, which was the last thing I wanted in these 100 days. So I got the Sky's the Limit achievement, grabbed some garbage loot out of these chests, and took them home, which I was pretty excited for on day 87. Before leaving, I also decided to go ahead and collect the dragon's head that you can get at the end of the end ships, put on my elytra, and headed down. And then finally, on day 87, I was back home ready to do some more enchanting. I pretty much spent all of my levels enchanting over and over again, and I actually did end up getting a god pickaxe and getting some netherite gear, but I wasn't sadly able to get some good boots. But then day 91, I went into the mines to mine some netherite. This would make it so I could get full netherite armor by the end of these 100 days, which was a goal I really wanted. So then on day 92, I decided to continue working on the big crater, which we still had not finished through all of these 90 days, and I really wanted to get this done as soon as possible. So on day 92, I spent the entire day just doing a bunch of digging, and I ended up digging up like 2 layers on this day, which was pretty insane. I then took a good old flight test to see how it looked from the air, and I think it looks pretty cool. So I then decided to start working on my next thing, which was going to be the end gateway. So I decided it would look really cool just to make this my portal, kind of make it look like a Comet came and blew a portal into the nether, which I thought might be pretty cool. And then went out of the nether after seeing what my spawn looked like, took a bunch of nether blocks and kind of made it look like the nether was coming into the overworld, grabbing some bone blocks and whatnot, and I think it looks pretty cool, doing once again another flight test, and I have to say this might be one of my favorite builds I've ever done so far. Then on day 94, I decided to do some more terraforming because I really wanted to finish this build off. I wanted to make it look as natural as possible, so around the edges I tried to terraform the land. And then on day 97 through 99, I spent the entire time doing a bunch of things. Mainly I spent the whole time in the nether, but I also did some farming as well because I thought it might make it look just a little bit nicer, and I was going to need some food for the next 100 days. So that's pretty much what I did, gave my sheep a haircut, and that was the end of day 99. Then finally, on day 100, I decided to go and check on my iron farm, getting over a stack of iron, which was pretty nice. I then also made a giant chest full of quartz from my mining trips, did some enchanting, and got a bunch of garbage enchantments on my sword. Then decided to make 3 netherite ingots, got that full netherite that I really wanted to get through these entire 100 days. Ended up making a netherite shovel and a netherite axe while I was at it, and decided to fly around and just kind of take in what I had done in these 100 days. After finishing and taking what I had done throughout these 100 days, I decided to go and watch the sunrise on day 101 to end off this series, which I hopefully would make it to 200 days. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. It really does mean a whole lot to me. I spent a lot of time making this video and playing Minecraft at the same time. I did have a lot of fun creating this, and I very hope that I can make it to 200 days in the next coming days. So hopefully stay tuned on my channel if you want to see that. Make sure to subscribe and like the video so that I can be motivated to put out some more content for y'all. So yeah, if y'all like this video, just make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll hopefully have some more videos coming your way. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.